My first barbershop in my barbering career, I was already knowing how to cut a little bit. I wasn't good at all, you know what I'm saying? I was still zeking dudes. I was still zeking people, I was barely knowing how to cut hair. I went around, I had already been in school for a couple months and knew a little bit, and I just knew it was time to jump in, because you don't learn the proper things, the real shit, until you get into an actual barbershop. I started going around my city and pulling up to different barbershops, and a lot of them I pulled up to. I didn't even pull up to a lot of barbershops. I probably pulled up to like 2 or 3. One of them said they'll call me back. One of them was not hiring. They had like their chairs full. And then I went into this one dude's shop, right? And I didn't know it was a one chair shop. It was just this one dude. He had one chair out there, and I ain't gonna lie, he was doing his thing, right? So I walk in there and I'm like, damn, like this is not, like, in my mind, I'm like, this is not where the fuck I'm trying to be at. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't even know this dude. I'm not trying to, he had an extra chair, and I'm like, nah, you feel me? Like, I don't even have clients, and it just didn't look like a proper shop. It was kind of like shady or whatever. And, I think he was hustling on the side or whatever. That's besides the point. I went in there, I was like, hey, man, I still went in with good intentions. I was like, hey, man, how you doing, man? I'm a barber and stuff. I'm in school, and, I'm trying to see what's up, man. I want to I want to start cutting, I'm trying to rent a chair. And he's like, yeah, what's up, man? He shook my hand, and he was like, yeah, man, here is really like, you got to have your clients or whatever. It's just really me. He's like, I'm not really looking for a barber right now, but, he started asking me questions. He was like, how long you been cutting and this and that. And I was just, telling him my background, my story and this and that, about school or whatever. And he was like, you know what, bro? He's like, let me get this man a call. I know somebody that might give you a job. And he called this one dude, right? At the time, I didn't know. Nah, he told me, he was like, nah, I didn't know, because he told me, he was like, oh, I got this one dude, but it's at a flea market, and it's down the street. It's called Sunshine Flea Market. It's in Lake Worth. If you're from around here, you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, he was like, yeah, he's down the street, flea market. And I'm not gonna lie, in my mind, I was like, hell no. You know what I'm saying? I was like, hell no. Flea market, bro? I don't even want to tell nobody I'm cutting at a flea market. But I was just so hungry. I was like, man, you know what? I was like, yeah, man, just tell him, bro. Like, I'll slide through. And I really wasn't planning on sliding through, to be honest. I was like, man, hell no, And he called the dude, and he was like, hey, man, I got a barber here and this and that. He's trying to cut some hair. And he was like, yeah, man, tell him to come through on weekends. Because weekends, the inspector doesn't come by. I didn't have the license. I wasn't official yet, so I had to cut under the table, basically, And I talked to him, and he was like, oh, man, come through on the weekend and this and that. And I was like, all right, And the dude actually told me, that was in the shop that I was like, standing in, talking to the other dude. When I was done talking, I was like, damn, man, thank you. I appreciate it. Like, I've been trying to look for a job and this and that, like, even if I wasn't gonna go through it with it, in my mind, I was like, I gotta thank this man, because he actually reached out and tried. Like, this is a blessing. You know what I'm saying? I don't even know this dude, bro. He doesn't even know me, and he was like, yeah, man, I'm not gonna lie, bro. When you came in the door, you look like you look kind of cocky and shit. You look kind of hard-headed, you know what I'm saying? And I was, but when I started talking to you, I realized that, you got some sense to you, and you're humble, you know what I'm saying? You know how to listen and shit. And I was like, yeah, man, like, I just got that face, you know what I'm saying? And he was like, yeah, man, go pull up on him, bro. Like, is an opportunity and this and that. And I was like, damn, yeah, I appreciate it, and I left. And I was like, damn, bro, I don't even know this dude. And he just got me a job. You know what I'm saying? He just got me the opportunity. Like, he just put me into play, bro. This shit started my whole barber career, bro. And honestly, like I said, I was still thinking like, damn, that's kind of whack, a flea market, But at the time, I was just like, man, fuck it. I got to start somewhere. You know what I'm saying? So I actually went, and I started that same day when I met the dude, because he told me bring my stuff. When I met the dude, Good dude, man. His name was Orlando, older Spanish dude, and he had his little, like, it was like a little booth with a couple chairs and stuff, and I just started cutting there, you know what I'm saying? And I was zeking the whole world. Bro. You know what I'm saying? It didn't go good, but I was cutting and getting better little by little, bro. I'm talking about little by little, you know what I'm saying? And eventually, one of my boys called me because they were at a barbershop, and they were like, yo, a chair just opened up, I could get you in here, you know what I'm saying? And got me in there. But like, that goes to show, bro, is like, that stranger, that person, bro, like, he just put me in the game, bro. Like, and before that, I went to a couple barbershops where people were like, yeah, go over there, my boy will give you a job. And then I'll pull up, and the dude will be like, man, you need clients, bro. Like, I can't, you know what I'm saying? Do you even really know how to cut? Like, they didn't give me the opportunity, bro. They could have gave me the opportunity because I could have ate off walk-ins, or they could have showed me how to cut some hair. Like, nah, they didn't show me, bro. And that dude, the old school Spanish dude, Orlando, he showed me how to cut hair. He showed me different tricks, you know what I'm saying? Because I was messing people up, no cap. I was messing motherfuckers up. I didn't even really know how to fade like that. I just knew a little bit, I knew like a little bit how to fade, but it wasn't like super blended. It wasn't super crisp. You know what I'm saying? It was just like, it was like decent. It was flea market worthy. So, but he got me right, bro. Like, he was like telling me like, yo, this is the shaver. Like, this is what I do with the shaver. Boom. And then you bring the razor and this and that. Like, he taught me a lot of shit that I'm like, damn, bro, this dude like really gave me an opportunity, really taught me like shit. And I don't even know this man, bro. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, strangers will give you the opportunity before anybody else will, bro. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, that shit's awesome, bro. And that's why I always like give respect and whenever I meet somebody, because you never know what type of position they could put you in. You never know what type of person they are, you know what I'm saying? And like, and that's that happened to me before a couple times too. Like, a friend of a friend, he's a stranger to me, you know what I'm saying? I don't know this dude, and he'll put me in position. That's how I got into the car rental game for a little while. I had a homeboy, and that homeboy introduced me to one of his homeboys, right? And we started talking business, and I started putting my car to make money on a car rental business. Like, it's just that quick that shit happens. That's why now when I meet people, I used to be like, oh, fuck it, like, I don't really care. Now when I meet people, like, I'm trying to network. Hey, what's up? Like, I'm trying to talk. Like, what's up? What do you do? And this and that. Like, shit, you can help me, or I can help you, or vice versa, or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I keep my mind open, and I just always keep that in mind. Like, okay, somebody, like, you never know who somebody is. You never know what somebody could do for you. So, I keep that in the top of my mind always. But yeah, man, strangers will level you up before anybody else will, because they see the potential, they see the hunger. They like, yeah, this person deserves it, and sometimes that's what it is, man. Like, that's been the best thing, like, that's been something that I realized. So you already know, strangers gonna level you up, man. Let's get it.